What's up, baby? Welcome to MMA Junkie Legend to Legend, rolling with Burt Watson. This is where I sit with true legends. That nickname, Rampage, which means reckless and uncontrolled behavior. I'm going to ask them questions, and I'm going to let them ask me questions. You said you had that mostly all of your life.
I used to play that video game Rampage all the time, and I told you I had like a real bad temper as a kid, and my siblings and my cousins, it used to amuse them because when I lost my temper, I used to hyperventilate.
We sit and we talk about life, family, career, and maybe some things you didn't know about. Who would you say is probably the best BJJ practitioner that you've ever run into?
It's probably like a toss-up between Sakuraba and John Jones. I'm gonna tell you, Dana is sometimes he's cool, and sometimes it's not. So, like I said before, I just feel like I wanted to be appreciated. You know what I'm saying? Because it's what I do for the sport. Like, I'm the fighter that's going to come out there. I'm not gonna put my safety first, and I'm not gonna put the win first. The first thing I'm gonna do is entertain the crowd.
Time to go to work. We rollin'! Yeah! All night long, baby. What's up, baby?
What's up, man?
What's up, Mr. Jackson? How you doing, baby?
I'm good. How you doing, man?
Man, I'm trying to make it, baby. I'm trying to make it. Thank you for joining me on Legends to Legends, baby. I appreciate the love.
I appreciate you, asking me to be here, man. It's an honor.
Yeah. We've had a few conversations, and we've had some pretty deep conversations, and now we get to have the conversations in front of everybody, okay? You and I, we have that OG talk a lot. And listen, I'm going to ask you some questions, and I want you to ask me questions. I don't care what it is. Nothing's off the table. We're just going to share some OG love. That nickname, Rampage, which means reckless and uncontrolled behavior, and it's been said that you have an eccentric personality, along with your aggressive fighting style. Do you embrace that, or do you have fun with it? Because I only know you as being, like everybody, when it's time to go fight, that switch comes on. When it's time to cut weight, there's another switch. But, you're probably the first person that walked up behind me and grabbed the back of my neck, playfully. So I know the playful, but that nickname Rampage means violent, reckless, and uncontrolled. You said you had that mostly all of your life. They gave it. Who actually gave you that?
My cousin Tyrone named me that when I was 8 years old. I used to play that video game Rampage all the time, and I told you I had like a real bad temper as a kid, and my siblings and my cousins, it used to amuse them because when I lost my temper, I used to hyperventilate, and it was really bad. So they just sit around and torment me to see me lose my temper, and I get in trouble for fighting my brothers and cousins and stuff. So I used to just punch holes in the wall and stuff like that, and I just used to destroy my room and break stuff, and that still got me in trouble, but it wasn't as bad as beating them up, and they used to make me do that shit all the time. Whenever they came over, that was part of their entertainment. And
let's go poke that bear. Let's go poke that bear.
They used to do it all the time. I don't really want to say what they used to do to get me, but they used to make fun of my dad back in the day. I don't want to put my dad business out there, but my dad wasn't the same. He wasn't the same guy that he is now. He made some bad decisions and stuff back in the day. And I was really close to my dad. I wasn't really close with my mom. I was more close with my dad. And they used to that was a button right there. So when they started talking about my dad, call him certain names and stuff like that, and I just tried to beat everybody up. And I used to play that video game, so that's where my cousin got that name from. He said, "You just like that video game Rampage." And then after that they used to always call me that. But I used to get so mad. I used to take my shirt off, huff and puff, cry and just go hysterical, and I just try to beat them all up. And it was too many of them. They used to jump me and everything, but it made me tough. It made me who I am today. And thank God now I know how to control my temper since and luckily I've only lost my temper in a fight one time my whole career, and because I was always worried about losing my temper in a fight because
in a fight. Really... What fight was that?
That was on my 26th birthday when I fought Ricardo Arona. That's the only time I ever lost my temper in a fight.
Okay, it's time to find out who is going to be the #1 contender in the very competitive middleweight division here in Pride Fighting Championships. Is it going to be Quinton Rampage Jackson or Ricardo Arona? Boss, this bout was supposed to take place last year at Total Elimination 2003. Arona was injured, but now tonight they will do battle with lots hanging in the balance.
Well, a little history about that fight. Me and Ricardo Arona were supposed to fight in the Grand Prix, but he pulled out of the fight, and I didn't know about it until I got off the airplane into the hotel in Japan. They was like, Ricardo Arona is hurt, so you got to fight Murillo Bustamante. And I was like, normally when you get a last minute replacement opponent, you don't get somebody tougher. Murillo Bustamante was a black belt in jiu-jitsu, and he's a different style of jiu-jitsu different style of fighter than Arona. I'm like, you guys should have gave me somebody else. I didn't train for this guy. And Pride, they didn't care. It was a couple of employees at Pride. They really didn't like me. I don't know why. I didn't do nothing to him, but I was just being me. And so I saw him. I was walking to the store a couple blocks away from the hotel, and I saw him walking out of the store. And he was walking fine until he looked up and saw me, and then he started limping. And all he had was like 2 Band-Aids on his knee that looked shaped like a cross. And I looked at him, and I'm like, oh, okay. So I ended up fighting Murillo Bustamante, barely win. I ended up beating him by decision because I had to pull out a bunch of leg kicks and stuff. I had to do what I had to do to win that fight. And then that's the first straw. Then fast forward to when me and Ricardo Arona fighting. I'm fighting. He trying to like armbar me or whatever. And he heel kicks me in the face a couple times.
Yes, you see? Now he can do 2 things. He can pass Quinton's arm and go for a triangle. You see what he's doing now?
There it is. He's going for
triangle. And otherwise he goes for an arm.
Oh, and Jackson's hit with those kicks. And he may indeed be rattled. Quinton Jackson was just rocked with those kicks, and he's bleeding. He's out.
I think he's bleeding. No.
Arona's yelling out to the referee that he thought he might be out. But Jackson is regaining his faculties. But man, those kicks from the bottom by Arona found their target.
He dislocated my jaw, and I just go down to like cover so he can't heel kick me. And he tells the referee that I'm knocked out. And I'm already telling you that the Pride, like I got so many yellow cards there. I got mistreated a lot from Pride. Real shit, real talk. And they could have stopped the fight if the referee would really believed that I was knocked out. And that was a tournament. I thought I was going to win that motherfucking tournament. So right then and there, I lost my temper. And when I lose my temper, it's like I have unlimited strength, and
there's always the danger from this position that a guy like Jackson will just pick you up and slam you to the ground.
Now he's going to go for an armbar. Watch this. He's going to go for Jackson's left armbar. He's going to go. Jackson still has his
triangle choke area there.
No, it's dangerous. He's got to get out.
Dan, I told you, he picked him up and slammed him to the ground.
He's out. He's out. He knocked him out. Unbelievable.
Electrifying turn of events. We were just speculating, and it came true. Quinton Rampage Jackson with a trademark slam knocks out Ricardo Arona.
I said, you know what? I knew I had to get him out of there. Plus, if he would have gave me one more leg kick, he probably, I probably couldn't hide the pain no more because he was leg kicking the shit out of me, and I was hiding the pain. Fighting is like poker, man. You can't show your cards.
No.
But that guy got the strongest leg kicks I ever felt, and I fought K1, the best leg kicks ever. But he pissed me off when he lied and told the referee that I was knocked out because even though I always try to be entertaining and stuff when I fight, I always fought with honor, and I just felt like that was dishonorable what he did.
When I'm jumping ahead a little bit, when you fought Sakuraba. Even though he was the pride of Pride, the fact that you put up such a fight with him, I mean, that enhanced your popularity, and the people were more impressed with that than anything else. The way that you fought and the fight that you put up. When you go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm tell you, that was all God right there, bro. Cause that fight, that was a last minute fight, and I had just started my training camp. I was supposed to fight Ken Shamrock, but Terry Turbocock, the president of King of the Cage, called me and said, "Hey," he said, there's been a change of plans. You're going to fight Sakuraba." I had no idea who Sakuraba was.
That was Pride. That was Pride 15, correct?
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't know.
Quinton, you're fighting in Pride. What does that mean to you?
Shit, just a day at the office. Like you're doing your job. I'm here to do my job. I'm not Quinton when I step in the ring. I'm Rampage.
And do you think that's going to come in handy when you face Sakuraba?
Oh yeah, because I'm gonna have my chain too.
You're going to have your chain in the ring?
Damn right. Sakuraba tapped out 4 graces, and I got to have a chain with me. You know what I'm saying?
And I was like, cool. How much does it pay? And he was like $10,000. I said, fuck yeah, I'll fight him, because I think I was only going to get like $5,000 to fight Ken Shamrock. Back in those days, I wasn't making a lot of money at fight. I was like, shit, double? Okay, fuck it. When is it? He said 2 weeks. I was like, damn. And that fight, Pride didn't have weight classes and shit back then. But when I got there, they tell me the day before the fight that, tomorrow morning you gotta cut weight for this fight. And I was like, whoa, ain't no weight classes. Then I was like, how much weight? What's the weight class? They said you gotta be 185 or something. I said, man, I told them I haven't been 185 since high school. And so they wanted me to cut weight the day of the fight, but I told them, like, nah, fuck that. And so I cut weight the day before. I had to lose. They gave me 3 hours to lose like 23 pounds.
What were you weighing? Where were you at? What was your weight?
Well, I was thin and sexy back then. That's when I was in my young boy. I was in my young boy phase. I was thin and sexy. I was probably like 208, 210 back then. So I lost as much weight as I could lose. I think I lost like 23 pounds or whatever. I can't remember now. I lost what they was happy when I got carried to the scale. When I couldn't walk no more, they carried me to the scale. That's when all right, fuck it. He good. But when I had to lose that weight, I was like, man, there's no way I'm a be able to win this fight. So I'm just gonna go out with a bang. I'm gonna try to destroy him fast.
So that was just intense effort that you put in, because you had been sucked out from that weight. But my understanding is that you put on one heck of a fight when you fought him.
Yeah, man. I was trying to be. I like to excite the crowd. My first time fighting in Japan. It was a lot of crazy stuff that happened. I got arrested for trying to leave the country because of that fight I did in college. And soon as I get ready to board the plane, somebody snitched on me, and
someone pointed you out.
Somebody, look, I'm telling you, I don't want to say everything because I'm writing a book, Burt. I'm writing a book.
I got you.
I'm gonna tell you this though. I'm right now. I'm writing a book that's not about my life. So I'm like testing out the market. It's another type of book, but to prepare people for the newcomers to MMA, because I get asked a lot of questions. But if that one does well, I can tell people all these stories. But I can say this: somebody I was training with at the time wanted to fight Sakuraba if I couldn't make it, and they knew I had a felony and I wasn't supposed to leave the country. So as soon as I get ready to board the plane, there's a bunch of police out there, airport police, and everybody pointing guns and stuff at me. Everybody yelling out different orders and stuff. It was a big mess, right? So I go to jail. Terry Turbocock bails me out, and then I fly to Japan the next day, and it was all in the newspaper in Japan. I think that made me more popular in Japan, and they lowered me down from the ceiling in a big cage. Me and Sakuraba, they made a big thing about it. Had it all in the newspapers and stuff. You know, and it was wild. So I'm fighting them, jet lag, just getting out of jail, had to cut this weight. It was a big mess, but I was like, I gotta try to destroy this guy fast. I was trying to slam him. They already warned me not to throw him out the ring. So, you know, I was trying to scare him. I had to set him on the ropes. They said, if you throw him out the ring, we'll never bring you back. Because I opened my big mouth. I said, fuck this shit. Like, how'd I end the fight? Can I throw him out the ring? They're like, no, you can't throw him out the ring.
So you gave them, you put that idea in their head.
Yeah, I shouldn't have said shit.
Now you said earlier, you said in the conversation that you didn't like the way they treated you in Pride or the organization itself, but you were there from 2001 to about 2006. You fought there quite a bit.
Yeah, I fought there a lot. You know, it wasn't going to stop me. Like the president of Pride, he was the vice president back then, Sakakibara's son, Mr. Sakakibara. He liked me. He was always cool, but it was like the I don't know what their job title were. They was like the I don't know if they was like the matchmakers or the agents, but it was Yukino and Hideki. They was a married couple, really weird couple, and just the shit they used to pull on me. That's, you know, they used to just fuck with me and just pull crazy shit. And in Pride, you had a contract where you couldn't tell how much money you made and shit like that, and so I didn't know it until one time me and Heath Herring was hanging out. Me and Heath Herring used to be real close friends. And we was hanging out and stuff out in Orange County, and he asked me how much money I made. I said, man, you know I can't tell you that shit on the contract. He said, come on, man, just tell me. And I told him how much money I made. He laughed. And he said, you getting fucked, man. You getting fucked. Then I asked him, how much money you making? And he said, I can't tell you that. But he was telling me, that, yeah, you getting fucked. And, you know, I had no idea. I built my way up. My first fight there, I fought Sakuraba for 10 grand. It was all cash money. And so, you know, that was a lot of money to me back then because I sacrificed a lot to be a fighter. I left my family, my job, you know, my car, my house, everything back in Memphis. And I moved out here to Orange County. And I almost gave up a few times because, you know, it's hard to get a job and the cost of living out here is so expensive. And, you know, I almost gave up. So that 10 grand, you know, they paid off my student loans and my restitution and shit. So I was like, okay, fuck it. But then I worked my way up, but I wasn't making the same amount of money as the other stars that was fighting in Pride, and you know, and they kind of left a bad taste in my mouth, and they did like a couple other things. You know, they made those toys of me, and they used to always tell me, they used to always tell me, all your toys are not selling that much, right? So I go to the store to go buy them because my family wanted, some of my friends wanted, and I be in Japan. I go to the little MMA stores, and my toys always be sold out. And then I go and tell them, and so I go and tell them like, hey, you know, how come you tell me that my toys don't sell that much, but I can't find them, motherfucker? If they were smart, they would have gave me some motherfucking toys instead of just giving me one. They would have gave me toys so I wouldn't go looking. And I just found out a whole bunch of shit, and you know, I didn't like the way they treated me. I feel like if you got a fighter that's being exciting and the crowd loves them and stuff, you know, take care of them as long as they're not a prima donna. You know, I'm not a prima donna. I'll never be a prima donna. But if I was ever a fight promoter, if I want to promote my own MMA show, I'm telling you, all the people that put butts in seats and they exciting fighters and they, whether they win or lose, they're exciting and they're good, they're easy people to work with, I take care of them. I wouldn't try to fuck them over. That's just me though.
So you're actually, when you did step aside from Pride, you fought around a little bit. You were in the World Fighting Alliance, and that's when the UFC bought, or Zuffa bought the World Fighting Alliance.
Yeah,
it bought its assets, and one of its assets was your contract. Yeah. And that's how you started with the UFC in 2006.
Yeah, man, that was a crazy ordeal. If I do decide to write my what you call autobiography, that whole process is going to be in there because that was some crazy shit right there. Because Chuck Liddell was on. He was on a new level. He was going back defeating everybody that beat him, and I was the last guy that he needed to get his revenge on, right?
Rampage Jackson is a new addition to the UFC, and he's the only man that has beaten you that you haven't avenged that loss.
You won your first UFC title. You fought with Chuck Liddell.
Yeah.
Tell us about that situation. How was that fight for you?
That honestly, that was a tough fight. I knew I had Chuck's number, not gonna lie, because I beat him in Japan, but it was still in the back of my head, me getting knocked out by Vanderlei all those years before. So I had to bring in some tough sparring partners. So that's when I met Czech Congo. And I saw Czech Congo fighting in the UFC. I said, "Man, that's a big, strong dude. Let me
yeah, he
was
was
kickboxer." Yeah, I was like, let me start training with him. So I started training with Czech Congo, and him became brothers, man. He's a great dude, right? And he helped me win that fight with Chuck Liddell, because Chuck Liddell was knocking a lot of people out. But for some strange reason, I didn't think Chuck Liddell hit that hard. I didn't think he had like really hard punches. But back in those days, I'd take a punch. I could take a punch. Just don't watch my last fight. But I could take a punch. And,
you say just don't watch the last one, huh?
Just don't watch the last one. But I can take a punch. And I remember training super hard for the fight. I went to Big Bear. I trained super hard. I was in great shape. And when the fight happened, I'm gonna tell you how Chuck made a mistake. The first time I fought Chuck in Pride, at the end of the first round, right at the end, right before the bell, he hit me with one of the hardest body shots I ever been hit with before in my life. And I made a noise. And I immediately shot in, went for the takedown. And he heard the noise. It's so quiet there, right? I made it over. I want to, because it was a hard body shot, right? And that body shot right there in the first fight is what lost the second fight for Chuck Liddell. You go back and watch that fight. He was setting me up for that body shot, and I have a defense. When people try to hit me in the body, I block it with my elbow, and I uppercut with the same elbow, right? But that's when they get close for the body shot. But him, when he did it, he was retreating.
Left hook though, and he used it to knock out Kevin Randleman. Left hook to the body.
So I countered the body shot. I blocked it with my elbow.
With the elbow.
And I was finna uppercut him, but he moved back, so it turned to a long hook, and that knocked him out. I had no idea that was going to knock him out, but it was that first body shot that he gave me back in Pride that lost the second fight for him, because he knew he hurt me with that, and he was trying to set me up with that body shot.
Well, let me ask you a question now. When you overtrain, are you overtraining or you're not self-disciplined? That's one part. And is training harder for you or harder than cutting weight?
Well, cutting weight only gets hard when you're not in good shape, in my opinion. I feel like you got to be in good shape. I used to love training. I used to train all the time. I used to love it until I got all these injuries. And once the injuries picked up and everything hurt, everything ached, I still trained hard, but I hated it. I really hated it. But that made me angry for my fights. When I fight people, I'd be like, oh, I had to train hard for this guy. I remember I was overtrained for Keith Jardine. Something happened in the U.S. and I had just fought Vanderlei Silva. Right, and that was like a really hard camp. I was training in England at the time, and then I think I went home for like a week or something to the States, and then the UFC needed me to fight again. And I was like, no, you know what? I just fought, and I had the hardest training camp of my life. That was my first time beating Silva, because he had beaten me
you beat him in the first round, right?
Yeah, I think that was the first round. And he had beat me 2 times before. This guy gave me 2 of the worst ass whoopings of my life, and so I had to train really hard. And so when I fought Keith Jardine, I went right back to the training camp. And back then, the people that was over my training camps and stuff, they didn't know what the fuck they was doing, and they wasn't listening. I told them I was overtrained, and you're supposed to take like a little week off or 2 weeks off, depending. And these motherfuckers, they was like workhorse mentality. They didn't know what the fuck they was doing, honestly. And so I was overtrained for Keith Jardine, and I did that as a favor for the UFC, and then I asked the UFC for a favor, and they was like, "Oh, we don't do favors." I said, "Oh, okay, fuck y'all then."
Okay. Well, and now you said you overtrained. Can a guy does he overtrain? Or does he rush his training too much, or does he do some of the wrong things in his training? How do you overtrain?
I feel like that was like my first time feeling overtrained in my career in fight. I feel like coming off camp back to back, I feel like you gotta let your body rest. I've been training sometimes, back when I was younger, I used to train. I take a week off after my fights, and I get back in the gym. And whenever I took a week off from doing nothing, when I came back, I always felt better. I always felt stronger. And, you know what I'm saying? More, I just felt more alert and everything. And when you overtrain, it's not only physical, it's mental as well, because training camps, they're hard, man. Some of the hardest things I ever done in my life. Training camps are really hard. And, look at me now. I fucking hate training. I gotta find a way to love it and stuff again and get my ass back in shape, in my older years, because I want to be in shape when I'm getting older. Like, I want to look like you when I get your age. I want to be in shape. But fighting, sparring, training 3 times a day, you got aches and pains, and you just have a camp. You don't want to do that shit again right away. And it's mental and physical. So I believe you can overtrain, and but I hated it. But sometimes, with certain injuries, you feel kind of like a pussy, and you don't press yourself as hard, and you just, in back in your mind, you tell them like, oh, you know what, I'm just gonna make do. I'm just gonna go out there and try to knock them out, even though I can't train, I can't wrestle, I can't wrestle that hard right now, so it hurts when I wrestle because my knee fucked up. But maybe I just practice my boxing more. I just work on my boxing more, and I just knock them out instead of wrestling them. I do this, I do that, and it's just one of those things. It's different for different people, and I just wish that MMA was. I wish we had doctors in the locker room like NBA and NFL. I just wish we was on that level where, it's an organization we fight for can, when we're in training camps and stuff. I wish we had access to like physicians and doctors and stuff back in my day when I was, at the top of my game, because we didn't have that. I didn't even know that to ice. I didn't even know this, and I just shit that you don't know. We just didn't. In my generation, I don't think we took care of our injuries well.
You went from one situation, The Ultimate Fighter, to fighting Keith Jardine and knocking out Wanderlei Silva, to The Ultimate Fighter heavyweights. Which was Rashad Evans, Kimbo Slice, Big Country. What was that situation like? The Ultimate Fighter heavyweight.
Well, that Ultimate Fighter, it was crazy. I had some different coaches, and so I had Tiki Goss in there with me, and that guy's fun as hell. And
that's your boy.
Tiki, he played a lot of tricks on Rashad. Back then, in those days, I couldn't stand Rashad, man. He was a little punk, and then he's like a psychology major, and I can't stand them motherfuckers.
Hey, pissed me off,
they told me to do a face-off. They told me to.
They ain't tell me nothing. I'm gonna kick the out of you, Rashad.
Come on now.
I'm gonna beat
You don't
the hell
believe
out
that.
you.
You don't believe that, do you?
I know it. I'm gonna beat the brakes off.
Let me tell you why you ain't gonna happen. You too slow.
You think so?
You too slow.
I'm glad you think that.
You too slow.
It don't matter.
And your head too big and it's too easy to hit.
Good. I can take them though.
Yeah, you can.
Can you take them?
I can take them.
Didn't let you can take them your last fight. Your last fight didn't show me you can take them.
How many fights you lose?
I lost a bunch.
A bunch.
I lost a bunch.
I lost one.
You ain't fought nobody.
I lost one.
You got a big ass mouth.
I can't stand people try to use psychology and shit. He tried to figure out when you cuss him out something, he tried to get inside your head and figure out why you cuss him out and try to make you feel bad about yourself for cussing him out. Like, no, motherfucker, I cuss you out because I don't like you. And it don't reflect on me because I cuss you out. It reflect on you. I only cuss out motherfuckers and talk shit to motherfuckers I don't like.
Yeah, he did.
I know he walked away and called us bitches. He walked away and called us man. He turned his back. Hey, bitches. Y'all straight bitches.
You a bitch.
Treat me like a bitch, then, Rashad. Treat me like a bitch right now. Treat me like a bitch. You in my face, call me a bitch. Treat me like a bitch right now.
You a bitch.
Treat me like a bitch right now.
Straight up.
You in my face, call me a bitch. Treat me like a bitch right now. So you just got treated like a bitch. Because you in my face, calling me a bitch. Treat me like a bitch right now. Treat me like a bitch right now. Treat me like a bitch right now. Treat me like a bitch right now.
What the hell would you eating on before you came here?
Treat me like a bitch right now.
What the hell would you eat?
Treat me like a bitch right now.
Before you came here.
Treat me like a bitch right now.
Like I said, you a bitch.
Treat me like a bitch right now. Treat me like a bitch right now.
You know you're a bitch.
Treat me like a bitch right now.
You know you're a bitch.
You a coward ass
You a bitch. You a bitch.
You a coward ass bitch. You in my face calling me.
Back up, dude. Back up, dude.
Dude, I know you just didn't do that.
Yes, I did.
I know you just didn't do that.
Yes, I did.
Dude,
you know I did.
You came on my face.
So what? Throw it, baby. Throw it.
And so it was just a fucking crazy show, and all the same shit was happening over again. My guys, my team, they was complaining that Rashad's team got special treatment, and that fired me up. That pissed me off. They were telling me how it worked. It was like when they need it, they can't leave the house. So when they need something, they had to write a list, right? And they would put like organic food, chicken, healthy stuff on the list, and it would take fucking 3-4 days for them to get it. And they see Rashad's team write shit on the list, and the people, they go out and get it the same day. But and my team, they says, but you write anything alcohol beverages on there, they'll go get that shit right away. But you ask me anything healthy and shit, this shit take like 3 or 4 days. And one after another, these guys was complaining and telling me this shit. And I would try and talk to the staff and say, man, what's going on here? Because they confided in me, and I felt bad for them. So they was really pissing me off. And me and Rashad almost got in a fight like a couple times. But honestly, I didn't know Dan was gonna kick me off the show. I was going through some other bullshit. I didn't know. So I was like, I'm gonna save it for the motherfucking ring. And then one time, I can't remember which one of my fighters it was, but I felt like he won the fight. But at the end of the day, I thought, like, you know what? If you're gonna give it, if you're gonna give it to other guys, might as well have been a draw. I felt like my fighter won that fight, and I just felt like they robbed him, and I lost my temper, and that's when I ripped that cheap ass door off the fucking wall. And
I remember that one.
And I'm still embarrassed about that because I don't like losing my temper in front of a bunch of people because it's embarrassing because you got to apologize and shit. And then that shit was on TV and now people keep fucking sending it to me on my fucking Instagram and shit. And I got to see that shit over and over. And my family, they know me. My family know me, so they ain't the first fucking door I done destroyed. But they fucking know me and stuff, and they was like, "Oh, you lost your temper on TV." They know, they know me. Soon they saw it, like, "You okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, this shit old as fuck now. By the time y'all seeing it, this shit ain't live."
This is a man that sat down and did his own tattoo on his arm. Okay, so so that shouldn't have been too much of a surprise. But yeah, they run that back. But you know what? It got to a point that everything they put in that house just about had to be paper, because y'all was, when I say y'all, in the Ultimate Fighter, they was walking through shit and throwing stuff off the terrace and throwing the television in the pool and, just kind of, so I could see why that door was paper,
Yeah, that door was cheap as fuck. I'm glad it was though, because I was so mad. I cut myself on it. It was like it was like a little thin wood. Inside it was like a little cardboard and shit. And I didn't know it at the time. I didn't give a fuck what the door was made out of. But my dumb ass headbutted the fucking door. If it was anything, I could have fucking put an eye out or anything. So lucky for me, it was like a fucking little flimsy ass motherfucking door.
You said Chuck Liddell gave you the hardest body shot you've ever had. Who in your estimation was the hardest hitter that you ever fought?
I think Kevin Randleman was. Kevin Randleman almost knocked me out when I fought him. He hit me with a punch I didn't see. I think it was a hook. And I watched the fight and I noticed I went down, but my hands were still up because I was training Muay Thai a lot back then. That's before I got into the boxing, and I always kept my hands up, and I always just trained to keep my hands up. And I remember him hitting me, and I didn't see the punch, and I went up. I kept my hand, but he didn't jump on me. Thank God. He would have finished. I think Kevin Randleman is the hardest puncher.
Who would you say is probably the best BJJ practitioner that you've ever run into?
It's probably like a toss up between Sakuraba and John Jones.
John Jones.
Sakuraba, yeah. I'm telling you, because Sakuraba, one thing about him, he's the first person to ever submit me. Normally, I muscle out of everything, but he went from one submission to the next, and kept me guessing. So he was setting me up like he would go for one submission, and as soon as I defend that, he would go for another. But I was muscle out of it until he got my back, and I couldn't. And then he rear naked choked me. I couldn't get out of it. But John Jones, his body is so long. I trained everything stand up for John Jones. I was so overconfident for that fight because I was knocking out people, people that was his height and everything. But I didn't know he was that good on the ground. So we didn't have no tall jiu-jitsu guys. I was training jiu-jitsu, but we didn't have no tall jiu-jitsu guys. And when he got me in the rear naked choke, his arm and stuff was too long. I just wasn't used to it.
You fought with the UFC and went with Bellator in 2013. And what was that transition? What was the difference between Bellator and the UFC?
Oh man, the difference was Dana White, man. I'm not gonna lie. Dana White, he took the love of MMA out of me, bro. I fight, and I barely pull out of fights because of injuries. And one time I get injured, and I tell Dana, I'm like, you know what, I'm injured, but I'm still gonna go and do this fight. And because it was in Japan, and I go and I fight, and I lost by decision, and then in the press conference, Dana White say shit like, I don't know what's up with Rampage. I don't think his heart's in it anymore. And I looked at this motherfucker. I'm like, this motherfucker know I was injured, but I didn't want to pull out the fight because I got injured like kind of close to the fight.
Well, let me just slow you down a little. Don't put too many curse words in it because we got to use a little of that. Okay.
Oh, okay, my bad. So you should have told me that from the beginning.
That's okay. No, I'm talking about when you're talking about Dana, and you connected his name 4 times with the same word.
Well, yeah. I'm gonna tell you, Dana is sometimes he cool, and sometimes he's just not. So, like I said before, I just feel like I wanted to be appreciated. You know what I'm saying? Because what I do for the sport, like I'm the fighter that's gonna come out there. I'm not gonna put my safety first, and I'm not gonna put the win first. The first thing I'm gonna do is entertain the crowd. And I win some and I lose some. That only got bad when social media got popular, where people come, like stupid ass fans come straight to your page and talk shit on you when you lose. But other than that, it's part of it. And I feel like I told you this is what I'm gonna do. When people know I'm on the card, they know they're gonna get a exciting fight without I want to lose. That's my goal. My goal never was to be the best fighter in the world. It was always to be the most marketable and most exciting fight in the world. That's always been my goal. And every promoter I fight for, they know this because I tell them this, and I feel like I just feel like why not respect a man that does that? You know, somebody fight for you injured, you don't go and say, "Oh, I don't think his heart is in it anymore." And then and
That's not good to say
that,
to anybody. You can't say that to
right.
anybody.
You don't know what fight is going on. A lot of times we injured when we fight. You know what I'm saying? They don't know how we feel. And so I went with Bellator because back when what's his name? I forgot. Bjorn was president or whatever. And I signed a deal with Viacom. Yeah. I signed a deal with Viacom. So they told me they was gonna have me doing movies, which I like. Movies are fun. I'm a big kid. Pro wrestling, fights, and they're gonna give me my own reality show. So for me to just go in so many words, I end up in a big lawsuit with Paramount over that contract because it wasn't what it was supposed to be in. And I don't read contracts, and my manager at that time was a fucking idiot. You know, and so I don't read contracts. That's not my job. That's why I hire a manager.
Right.
You know, I paid him to explain it to me, and the way he explained it to me, like, oh yeah, it's a good contract. You're gonna make a lot of money, and the contract didn't live up to what it was supposed to be. So I told her I wasn't fighting no more. But I left UFC and went to Bellator. I was the first one in that status fighter to go to Bellator. Then Tito came next, and you know Bellator was very promising. And then later on when Scott Coker came, you know, they gave me one of the best contracts I've ever had to date. Besides like the pay-per-view, but you know UFC's only people doing pay-per-view in the UFC is really like Conor or Ronda Rousey. They was the only ones doing pay-per-view. Nobody else was making good pay-per-view money. Like they wasn't selling. So Bellator gave me a better contract. I was making more money with Bellator, and the competition was still stiff. You know, it was good guys and stuff there. And you know, I'm an older fighter now, and so you know, UFC. I don't feel like they have the fighter's best interest at heart. You know, and who does really? But I felt like at the time when Scott Coker came over to Bellator, a lot of things got better.
I'm gonna throw out some names at you: Sakuraba, Randleman, Bustamante, Chuck Liddell, Chael Sonnen, Vanderlei, Shogun, Matt Lindland, Henderson, Forrest Griffin, Keith Jardine, Rashad Evans, Glover, John Jones, Mike Powell, Fedor, and Arona. Out of those guys, which was your best fight and which was your worst?
Well, Fedor was my worst fight to date. Never had a fight, even the thousands of street fights I've been on as a kid growing up. Fedor is my worst fight, and my best fight was probably Dan Henderson. That's where I showed a lot of my skills that people didn't know I had. A lot of my jiu-jitsu skills and stuff. And that was like one of the toughest fights. And plus, that's the fight where I made history when I became the first unified champion of MMA. But you go back and watch that fight. I do some amazing stuff on the ground because Dan Henderson is a great wrestler, and he's a hard hitter, and he's like one of the toughest opponents to this day. And my cardio was immaculate, and I knew what type of fight it was going to be. So I remember that training camp. I told my coaches, I said, "Tell me when is the last minute and the last 30 seconds of the round, and the last minute, I know I got 30 seconds to get myself in good position, and so for the last 30 seconds, I call it hog wild. I can go hog wild and steal around because I knew how Dan Henderson. I know how he fight because I helped him train for a lot of fights, and so I knew he's going to be tough, and I think that's what got me the decision. The last 30 seconds of each round, you know, I knew I had to go and pick it up. I knew he's going to be probably like a little bit tired than me because like everybody know that I hate training, so people think that because I hate training that I don't train hard, which is really wrong. I train hard as that.
I don't think I can't remember the last time I heard somebody use the term hog wild, bro. Okay.
I'm from the South, baby.
Hog wild.
Hog wild.
I know exactly. What's your opinion? The growth of MMA, the landscape and the condition of MMA, and the pay scale today. What's your thought on that?
Man, I think it's good. It's great. I have to be honest and say I'm a little jealous because I wish it was in my generation when I was at the top of my game. You know, I hate on Conor McGregor a little bit because everything he's doing, that's the shit that I wanted to do. That's stuff that I asked Daniel to do. Put me in a boxing match, this and that. You know, the kid, he's great for MMA. He grew the sport so much, and you know, or even Ronda Rousey, she did great for the sport and stuff too. And you know, I think it's moving in the right direction, and people are making the type of paydays that they deserve. I feel like in my generation we didn't get as much respect because top boxers was making a lot more money than us, and you know, even though I did good, I made a pretty good living. You know, I wasn't starving or nothing like that. But people, when they hear MMA fighter, they just disrespect you. They thought that you was broke or some shit. You know. And some MMA fighters, you know, make a pretty good living, but you know, it can always be more. I feel like now the pay scales are getting better. Now my son is training with Antonio McKee and AJ McKee, and hopefully, God willing, and the plan goes according, you know, to the way it's supposed to go. My son will be out there in a couple of years. Making the type of money that he deserves with the way the progression of the sport is going.
Now, are you done, baby?
No, I can't leave a bad taste in my mouth like that. What I'm doing now is I'm taking my time and I'm getting back in shape, and I want to do some boxing, man. Now that Mike Tyson got that Legends boxing thing, I think it'd be a full circle if I can get in shape soon enough, and if I can go out there and join that whatever show he got, the Legend show, maybe do some boxing and box another old timer. I think that I can do that for a couple more years.
But MMA competitively, you are, you aren't, or you're not telling me, or you just waiting to see how? Because let me tell you something. Everybody asks me about retirement and am I retiring? I'm not even thinking about it. And I'm 71, bro. But you know what? I know what I got. I got a damn good 10 years left. Okay?
Yeah.
So whatever comes, you know.
Yeah, you know, this is the thing. This is the thing. People have been thinking I've been retired for years. Like UFC, when I left them, they promoted it. It was my last fight and stuff. So and so a lot of people don't know that I went to Bellator. People think I've been retired since 2000. What did you say? I went to Bellator 2017 or some shit.
13.
30, whatever.
2013.
Oh, damn. Yeah. So people think I've been retired since then. I haven't retired yet. Next month it'll be a year since last time I fought. But
yes.
So what I'm doing is these next 6 months I'm just going to focus on my health and get my weight back down to normal, and then once I climb that mountain, then I'm gonna start, you know, training MMA and boxing, and then I'm gonna put it out there in the universe, and I'm gonna see what comes up, an MMA fight or a boxing fight. But I really want to focus on doing a boxing fight before I hang up the gloves.
Before I let you go, you got to tell me where you got that howl from, baby. Where did that howl come from?
Honestly, I was thinking about this a couple years ago. I think I started howling after I saw the movie Teen Wolf when I was a kid. That's why I originally think it came from. And I was a big fan of that movie, and ever since then I just thought I was a werewolf. I still might be a lichen. I don't know. I think I'm a werewolf, but the moon does something to me, brother. When there's a full moon, it does something to me.
Well, I don't know if you need the moon to do that, but you know, and you know, everybody knows, you know, we rolling. And I can't tell you how many times I'm asked to say that. So I didn't ask you to how, because I know how I get every time somebody sees me, they want to hear we rolling. I'm going to go to church one time and I'm going to stand up and I'm going to yell we rolling just to see what kind of response I can get. But I also just told you that I go to church. Okay.
Yeah.
But
This is the thing about the how, man. It's crazy. I do these shout outs on Cameo, right? And people are like, you know, I gotta give like birthday shout outs or give messages, and sometimes people ask for the how. And I'm gonna tell you something honestly, bro. That's the hardest. It's the hardest thing to do. Is the how. It has to be. It's a feeling. It's like somebody asking you to smile or somebody asking you to laugh. For me, it's like an emotion. Like when I don't know if you guys pay attention to my fights. When I win my fights, when I knock somebody out or I finish them, that's when the howl come out. But when I win by decision and shit like that, I don't howl. You know, it's just an emotion. Like I'm not happy with winning by decision. Like it's like me losing. I'm gonna howl when I lose. But I tell you what, if I ever walk by someone where there's an echo, if I'm going in a parking structure or something like that, and there's an echo, I know I howl and stuff like that. But you know, honestly, I think I do need to bring Rampage back because I used to howl in the shower and stuff like that when I wake up in the morning feeling good, but I haven't done that in years. And I think I lost a little bit of a Rampage when my health was bad and I'm putting on all this weight. I think, you know, Rampage never looked like that to me. And I think I lost a little bit of him. So I'm trying to get him to come back. I'm trying to get Rampage to come back and I can look like Rampage again and beat Rampage again. And then I howl all the time then, but I haven't been howling, bro.
Well, you know what? Rampage is not what you look like. It's who you are, baby. And that's always going to be. And you preaching to the choir. You know, everybody thinks it's instinctive, you know, that we rolling. But I'm going to tell you, man, I felt like this every night. I had to feel it. And I had to be around you guys to feel it. And I had to be in a locker room to feel it. And I had to be either in a way in to feel it or like I'm right now building myself up and I can feel it. But I know what it is to say you got to feel it. But again, man, Rampage is always in there, always. And I just want to say to you, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you. I appreciate your time. I got nothing but love for you.
Same
you know,
here.
the missus sends you love, and thank you for your time. And I just want to tell you, baby, you just keep rolling all night long.
All night long, baby.